And welcome to another edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan. Thank you guys so much for listening and supporting this program. Remember, if you have a chance, if you're listening, for instance, on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. We love to see what you guys are thinking regarding Spits and Suds. Back by popular demand, a voice synonymous with Dallas Stars hockey, especially if they score at home or if they go on a power play. And he will be headed to Finland very soon with the Stars for their two tilts against the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, November 1st and 2nd. It's the greatness of longtime public announcer Jeff Kay. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Gavin. How are you, sir?
Man,
great to be back.
I am doing awesome, and I am excited for you. Are your bags packed?
We are on the precipice of packing. I just kind of got the do's and don'ts. And now that I know what I can and can't bring and how much I can bring and all that sort of stuff, probably start packing Friday, maybe.
Okay. All right. Now the games,
2 days before we leave on Sunday.
All right. The games will be played in Tampere, Finland.
Hey, nice pronunciation.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I practiced it. That's 2 hours north of Helsinki. So I'm assuming you guys fly into Helsinki and then take shuttle buses up.
You're close. We do fly into Helsinki, and then we have a couple of days in Helsinki. Then we take a train to Tampere, and then we do we do the games Friday and Saturday, and then we I believe take a bus back to Helsinki and then flights from Helsinki back to Dallas.
What are you guys going to be doing the 2 days in Helsinki?
That's a great question. I know the team has some stuff planned, some team bonding exercises, maybe some trips and things like that. But as far as the game presentation staff, it may just be a day or two of adjusting to the time change or even doing a little sightseeing in Helsinki. We really don't have to do work in air quotes until we get to Tampere.
So a lot of people probably wonder why Tampere and why not Helsinki. And it actually does have some meaning. Panthers captain Alexander Barkov is from Tampere, and Roope Hintz is technically right outside Tampere in Nokia.
Yep.
And so there is familiarity. And as far as Florida and Dallas, Miro's from Espoo, Finland. Esa Lindell is from Vanta, Finland. How's my pronunciation so far?
Yep.
And the Florida Panthers have 4 players from Finland. So all told, a lot of Finns going back. I just can't imagine their excitement, Jeff, playing in their home country on literally, it's called the Global Series, on a global stage.
Yeah, no, when this was first announced, I thought, wow, this is perfect. You've got 2 teams in the NHL that really embrace just how special the history of hockey in Finland is. They've got, like you said, a number of Finnish players. Roope Hintz really is the flag bearer for the Dallas Stars, as he's got ties to both Tampere and Nokia. You know, we used to say that Roope was from Tampere, and he said, well, I might have been born there, but I was raised in Nokia. Mm-hmm. So when I introduce him now, we've changed it to Nokia. But that arena is right there in kind of that Tampere, Nokia area. And it's also very close to the Finnish Hockey Hall of Fame. So there's a lot of history in that area of Finland. And I can't wait to just kind of immerse myself in it.
I heard there is a code name to get free drinks in Finland, and it's just giving you a little heads up. If you say Yuri Lettinen, you're good. Is that true?
Yeah. Or if you just go up to here and you start talking Pantera or Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Or, yes. Anything the heaviest of metal, I'm sure Yuri will buy you a drink.
So are you going to be doing both games for PA or just one? Really?
Yeah, so technically, we are the home team for a game.
Yeah.
And Florida is the home team for a game. So
that brings up an interesting scenario, because we all know your great calls for Dallas. Do you have to learn the terminology and what Florida does so that you can replicate it as best as possible?
That's a great question, and I'm sure all that will be ironed out once we get there because the league kind of takes over as far as the presentation. I will say this. My buddy Adam Hamway, who is the public address announcer for the New Jersey Devils, he was tasked with the first Global Series games in Prague between his Devils and the Buffalo Sabres. And I kind of picked his brain a little bit, asked him, what was expected of him. Could he homer it up for his Devils? How did it work when it was the Sabres home team or home game? And he said basically he had to, he had to deliver on an even keel for both teams. Both teams go on the power play. It's the same amount of excitement. Both teams score goals. You have to give the same amount of excitement. I don't think that I'm allowed to homer it up for the Stars or the Panthers. It's just get excited for all of it, share excitement of all of it.
So you're also the PA announcer for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are away in Atlanta that week, so it works out perfect. Otherwise, I was going to volunteer.
Yeah, I got lucky. What's strange is this is a rare season where, depending on what happens with the Cowboys, there could be 3 conflicts this year. I mean, I've gone almost a decade without any Stars-Cowboys conflicts, but we've already had one this season. There's another one coming up. And then, if the Cowboys make the postseason, which doesn't seem like is going to be an issue right now, there could be a third conflict. So it's very strange indeed. Now, you wanted to back me up in the hockey role or the Cowboys role?
Man, I'll do either. I will tell you, because I'm an honest Abe, I did try out to become the old Dallas Burn announcer and did a couple games at the Cotton Bowl.
Wow.
My downfall was I could not roll my R's through my tongue. Yeah.
That seems like a necessity for soccer.
Yeah. But it was an absolute blast. I mean, it was an amazing experience, and I am thoroughly jealous about your position. When I was probably in my 20s, I sent in a demo tape to become the New England Patriots PA announcer. And then there was a news story done, and I was like, oh, wow. And they showed even a 13-year-old trying out. And I'm like, wow, I got beat out by a 13-year-old. So I thought my broadcasting career was dead, and that took me a couple days to get over. So I've never, I'm kind of a geek as far as, I covet PA announcers. I think they are PA announcers and mascots. I think PA announcers are so pivotal to the game energy and the nuances that they add and the repetition to get the crowd to buy in to what they're saying and the chants and everything like that. So, I mean, that's why I always give you a stick tap, because you really have embraced the Dallas Stars culture, and it's really cool when you say something, the fans are totally into it now. You teach them kind of without teaching them, Jeff. You basically say something and they know that you want them to respond.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that. I will say that both the public address announcer and the mascot position are probably 2 of the most unsung positions in game presentation, as we are kind of the main conduit to the fans. I mean, it's one of those things where I tell people I never really set out to be a public address announcer for either the Stars or the Cowboys. I'm just the poster child for being in the right place at the right time. It's just my radio background, my music background is what kind of opened the doors with the Stars. And then doing the music led to being the in-game host. And then that familiarity in my voice being the in-game host, the Stars kind of felt that it would be a natural transition once Bill Ollerman retired to move me into that position. Yeah. The folks at the Cowboys came to a Stars game, saw me doing my in-game host role there, and they asked me if I'd want to do that for the Cowboys. And I wound up doing that for the Cowboys until the Cowboys also had openings at their public address position. So, in my mind, these teams should do a nationwide search for the most experienced public address announcers on the planet. But again, sometimes if you just do a good job and you're always there and you're reliable, a lot of times they just go with somebody that they know they can rely on and they can trust. So I don't know if that answered your question, but yes, it's an awesome job. It's an unheralded job. And the Dallas Stars fans have been incredible when it comes to the goals and the power play calls and the who cares when I have to announce an opposing goal. You know me, I've always enjoyed the more things we can do in Dallas that are unique to our presentation, the better. And the more call and response, or the more that we can get the fans dialed into the presentation and have them involved, the better.
I'm so glad you brought up Bill Allman, because it was such a change as far as inflection and energy. And Bill just had that stoic announcing, but at the same time, like, you grew to love it. Like, you know, Spits and Suds listeners know I grew up north of Boston, going to Fenway Park, growing up with Sherm Feller. Well, I'm not sure if a Sherm Feller would exist today, but through years, you just got used to that just stoic, slow approach. Now batting. And then you come, Jeff, with I just love your energy that you bring to the table. And I love the fact that fan bases embrace both. And that's why I'm talking about there's a technique to it. There's a talent to it. You know, you just can't throw anybody there. You kind of have to build your own style, and you've done a good job of it.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, again, a lot of what I do comes from my time on the radio. And I kind of felt my presentation or my delivery lends itself more to an in-game host. I look at the public address announcer position as more of a stoic voice of God effect. But as we've seen both in radio and in sports, owners of teams, managers, game presentation directors are looking for something a little bit more conversational in the delivery, maybe a little bit more friendly, believable, not so necessarily removed from what the crowd is feeling. Like we're all just kind of fans in this together. So, I consider myself fortunate that both the Cowboys and the Stars feel that my delivery represents what they like. I will say it's completely different what I do with the Stars than what I do with the Cowboys. When I was auditioning for the Cowboys, I'd really never done play-by-play PA before. I don't know if I explained to you that there's two separate roles at the Cowboys. There's the down and distance PA that I have to do kind of after every play. Dak Prescott's pass complete to number 88, CeeDee Lamb, a gain of 4, it's 2nd and 6. You know, so when I did that in my audition, I'd never done that before, and I did it very nonchalant. I didn't do the growling or anything because I thought, well, I'm probably not going to get this job anyway. Let me just make sure I can, get these words out and get them out clearly. And it turns out that's exactly what the Cowboys were looking for that. They wanted a very kind of matter-of-fact down in distance. And then when it came time for the marketing reads, hey, Cowboys fans, pick up a scratch-off ticket from the Texas Lottery, that kind of thing. I thought, I've got this. This is what I can do. And they came back to me and they said, hey, would you be interested in, doing the play-by-play? Charlotte Jones, Jerry's daughter, who's in charge of, she's the chief marketing officer, and I think she's part owner of the team now. She decided that that's exactly what she wanted, was my down and distance play-by-play aspect. So I said to my boss, well, who's going to do the marketing reads? That's what I thought I was going to do. He says, well, do you want to do that too? I'm like, well, that's 2 jobs. Can I get paid for 2 jobs? Anyway, so we tried it in preseason to see if I could do it all. And, that was 7 seasons ago. So I've been doing the down and distance PA and the marketing stuff at Cowboys games for, it was 7 seasons now. It's crazy. And then at the Stars games, there's not any play-by-play. It's all just kind of reactionary. It's the bigger moments. And we now have another in-game host at the Stars with Selena, a guy by the name of Jersey.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Jersey Goldman, who handles a lot of the marketing reads. He's even more hyper than I am, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of dialed back, but when I do go at the Stars, it is growly, it is over the top. You mentioned rolling R's, it's rope hints, it's all that.
So jealous.
So it's a lot different. I mean, I will growl on a Cowboys touchdown for you, but most of the time it's down and distance stuff and it's reserved.
So jealous. Okay, the third most popular Finnish dish in a Gavin Spittle prep research comes up.
And you did more prep than I did going to Finland.
Of
I
course.
just got an app that's hopefully going to help me translate stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Go ahead.
I got you, man. This is what we do. Deep dives on Spits and Suds.
I love it.
Sautéed reindeer, a lean, delicious dish that's high in B12, omega-3, and omega-6, often served with mashed potatoes. Jeff K., will you eat Rudolph?
Great question. I am pescatarian and have been
No
for about
way.
15 years now. Yeah, I don't eat meat.
I'm a
I just eat
pescatarian as
fish.
well.
So hopefully there's lots of good seafood in Finland. What have you heard about seafood?
Oh, man. Give me a second to Google.
Yeah, I noticed they've got a lot of interesting dishes. Reindeers on a lot of menus, and there's
how'd you become a pescatarian?
There's cheeses, very like weird cheeses and weird breads, and like coffee is a very popular drink in Finland. It's kind of a lighter brew coffee.
Right. Well, I mean, listen,
and they're licorice. Licorice is real big in
licorice is
Finland,
very
too.
popular.
Yeah.
One of the things I find as a pescatarian, and I don't want to turn Spits and Suds listeners off, but one of the things is that when you have to work for 3 to 6 hours like you will during a game, it's tough to supplement because you just eat fish. And I don't know if you eat shellfish. I do eat shellfish. How do you go about that as far as snacking?
I mean, I'm good. I don't really, but I have a nice lunch before a game, and it's usually a salmon-based salad type thing, and that'll tide me over.
Okay.
I usually don't snack during games. I might have a couple of lifesavers or my throat spray to keep my pipes lubed, but yeah, I don't eat during games.
Okay. This is what it says. Fish is a staple of the Finnish diet, is often eaten fresh at restaurants, delis, food markets. Some popular Finnish fish dishes include salmon soup, perch fillets, pickled Baltic herring, and smoked vendasse. Interesting. But it's vendasse, also known as moiku in Finnish. This fish is popular in the Lakeland region. I mean, listen, you got to write down these fish that you try. Whenever I go someplace, I always try a different fish and then, write it down so that I can, detail my experience. Okay. Speaking of the Nordic area, during preseason, were you interested in R2 Huru making the team, and would there have been R2D2 sound effects?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
It was I got so excited when I heard R2 Huru that I just couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to announce the name R2 Huru.
Okay.
And you better believe there would have been plenty of Star Wars themed sounds from Shippy and video from Harpo and the gang. But we got something to look for if that kid comes up to Dallas. That's for sure. I'm just excited that now every game it seems like I'm able to say Logan Stankoven.
Yeah.
You don't know how long I've waited for that.
No, absolutely. So one of the things that Sean, myself, Steven Reserve of 100 Degree Hockey, because Steven covers the Texas Stars on a game-by-game basis. He's terrific. So Steven's down in Texas covering Liam Bixel, and then all of a sudden, exactly, in preseason, it's Bischel. And same thing with Oscar Beck, who's a little bit different when he was in Texas. And Steven and I were just trying to figure out what's with the name change when you come up to Dallas.
Yeah, well, I've learned that my way in the world as far as pronunciations is to follow my leaders, and my leaders are Josh and Razor.
Yep.
So whenever we get some younger guys look like they're going to make the team, I will DM Josh and ask him what his thoughts are on a particular pronunciation. And he has a lot more access to the guys in the locker room than I do. And he actually went, I don't know if it was him specifically, but he got with PR. They asked Liam Bischel exactly what he wanted to be called, and he said Liam Bischel. So that's what Josh is going with. That's what I'm going with. Same with Oscar Beck, even though it's spelled back.
Yes.
It is Beck.
Yeah. Steven and I just figure that they get up here and they're like, whatever. Just let's go with the English version.
Yeah, it's weird the way they think. You think by the time you get to the NHL, you want your name pronounced exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there are some of us like, that Miro, same thing. At one point, was it Heiskanen or, what was it? So it's kind of interesting that because I always try to make it familiar to their own country. So I will look it up and I will look at old play-by-play and see how they pronounce it. And I just figured that's what we're going to go with. But, I think you have the right path. All right. let's get into the season real quick. It's been super exciting at the American Airlines Center. One of the things that last year the Stars kind of struggled was winning on their home ice. You know, they were dominant on the road, so not the situation thus far. Some real good performances at home.
Yeah. No, hey, 2 points count as much in October as they do in April. I know that's a cliche, but, you know, we've seen this team, I wouldn't say recently, but there have been some seasons where they've sputtered out of the gate, and that comes back to haunt you. You know, there's also another old saying that whatever your position is in the division by Thanksgiving, if you're in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving, then you're probably going to be in the playoffs come April. The Stars have had a great start. I think they're getting a lot of great energy from their third and fourth lines. It's also great to see guys like Matt Duchene leading the way when it comes to scoring. It was good to see Rope get a goal. He's got 2 on the season now, or maybe 3. 3. And, of course, you're getting incredible help from the young guys, Logan Stankoven. The Matt Dumba experiment lasted for what? 2 games, 3 games. He is going on this trip to Buffalo, though they haven't said whether he's going to play or not, but at least it's good he's making the trip. But listen, starting 5-1 is a lot better than starting 1-5. Will they keep it going? I'd love to see it. I just think this Stars team really needs to be at its peak come the final stretch into the postseason. I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like if there was any knock on the team by the third round of the postseason is that they may have looked a little tired against Edmonton.
Yeah.
And so how do you make sure this team is peaking at the right time heading into the postseason?
Right.
And hopefully, sharing the load with Jake Ottinger, Casey DeSmith can make sure Otter's fresh and ready to go.
I think our Spits and Suds listeners would be curious about the following. Penalties are one thing, and please explain that. But when a team scores a goal, how does that process work? And for penalties as well, as far as you gathering the correct information, pull back the curtain, how you gather the information, and then the right time to announce, because sometimes it's a minute or 2 after. So tell us that process.
So, the unwritten rule is I'd rather be right than fast, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to come back and have to correct an announcement. So there are some times when I feel like it takes a long time for me to get the official goal scoring information. And a lot of that has to do with the second assist. Yes, we know who scored. Yes, we know who passed it to them. But what about the second assist? So what happens is I'll have Josh and Razor on in one of my channels on my Comrex unit, so I hear the play-by-play in my ear. So a goal is scored. I kind of know who the goal scorer is. I will pencil it in. I will then ask my director of game presentation, Kevin Harp, through another channel on my Comrex, hey, Harpo, what do your replay guys in your room see if they rewind the tape quickly? Let's say Matt Duchene scored. I'll say, all right, so we know Dutchie scored. Who do you see has the assists? And he'll say, 95 from 27 and 91. So I'll pencil that in, and now I wait. And I wait for the off-ice officials to make the final say. They've got another TV screen upstairs that they're looking at. And then they'll call me and they'll say, Dallas goal, 95, 27, 91. So that's confirmed. I'd already penciled it in. If I was wrong on one of those, I would scratch it out. I would write in what the off-ice officials tell me. And now once I've got it, then I go back to my game presentation director on headset, and I'll say, Harpo, I've got it, and he says, okay. Then he checks with the replay director or the game director downstairs to make sure she's ready to go. Her name's Terry. She's great. Make sure they're ready to go with the headshot. Because you remember when I announce a goal, we show the headshot on the screen at the same time. So Harpo, my director's responsibility is to make sure that he's going to show on screen what I'm about to say. Once all that's ready, then he also will check and see, well, is the play in our end? Should we wait till the play is out of our end? Worst thing you want to do is announce a goal while you're getting scored on. So we might wait another beat until the play's in the offensive zone for us. So that way we're not kicked in the you-know-whats while I'm calling. It's okay if I'm calling a goal and we score again. I love that. I call that goal callus interruptus, and I got no problem with that.
That's quite the process over 90 seconds to 3 minutes, let's just say.
But it happens fast. Boom, boom, boom. They score. Crowd goes wild. I kind of know who scored. Harpo tells me quickly who his replay guys see. Pencil it in. Off ice, most of the time will let me know in less than a minute if it's tough to figure out that second assist. Now, I will pull back the curtain even further. Let's say the Stars score with 30 seconds left in the period. What I hate personally is a pet peeve. I don't want to not announce it and then wait till the start of the next period to have to announce it, because you can't do the full Jeff K growling call. It would be like, hey, fans, you remember 30 minutes ago when we scored? Well, here's who scored and here's who got the assists. I mean, I wouldn't say it that nonchalantly, but it would be like, fans, at 19:30 of the first period, credit number 95, Matt Duchene. Not as exciting as a normal goal call. So what we may do, and what we've warned the off-ice officials about, is, hey, if we know who scored the goal and I'm up against it with 30 seconds left in the period, I may just announce the goal. Meaning like Dallas Stars goal, his third of the season, scored by number 95, Matt Duchene. Time of the goal, 19:30. And that way we get the announcement, clock runs out. I can do the shots on goal recap. We can hit all of our marketing stuff. And then if we want to announce the assists later, great. Or maybe I just don't even announce the assists. They just wind up being put up on the board in the second period. But at least we accentuated the excitement of the goal with a goal call. And I'll do that even though off ice hasn't sent me the confirmation.
Even though you see the player in the box, as far as penalties, you still wait for the NHL to confirm?
Oh, no, I'm talking about goal calls.
Yeah, I know,
penalties.
but what do you, is there any difference in penalties?
So penalties, the way we do it in Dallas, so the opponent takes a penalty. As soon as the ref announces it, San Jose penalty, number 50, 2 minutes for holding, we might do a little video drop or some audio drop quickly. And then Harpo will say, all right, Jeff, go. And that's when I do my power play call with the San Jose penalty, powered by TXU Energy. Your Dallas Stars are on the crowd screams power play. And usually by that time, the puck drops. And after the puck drops, then I can do in my reserve, San Jose penalty, number 95, Steve Smith, 2 minutes for holding, time of the penalty, 18:40.
Right. Now, Saturday, an interesting situation, and I said, I got to ask Jeff K about this. Draisaitl scores for the Oilers. Stars immediately bounce back and score. So you had 2 goals in a matter of, I think, a minute.
Right.
How do you play that?
So we like to announce in order.
Okay.
So I had gotten the Draisaitl goal information before I had gotten the Stars information, as far as the confirmation of the information from off ice. So I told my director, Harpo, in the Comrex unit, hey, I've got their goal announcement. Let's get it out of the way, before we get the Stars goal information. And he said, that's fine, go. And so I do it very reserved. Edmonton goal scored by number, 95. What's Leon Draisaitl's number?
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. So I'll do it very reserved, get it out of the way. It's almost like, what did Jeff announce the Edmonton goal? Sometimes I do it so quickly and reserved that they don't have time to say, who cares?
Yeah. No.
But to answer your question, everything is done in order. We would never announce the Stars goal and then go back and do the Edmonton goal. We always wait and do it in order.
I love this info. It's pull back the curtain time. Let's go further. You used to be at center ice on the ice, and then you moved up. Explain the change and why.
So basically, that was a decision that was kind of made during COVID, and it just kind of became a permanent rule, I guess, at the league level. When COVID hit, fortunately, Dallas was one of the few arenas that still had fans in the arena, but it was decided that any quote unquote unnecessary personnel or people that could do their job away from being within contact of the players were not going to be in the penalty box area or on the bench area. I don't know if you remember how crazy they were, where they actually had glass panels behind the players bench, and we had to clear out all those seats and nobody could sit. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was great that the Stars had 4,000 or 5,000 fans in the arena during COVID, but all the public address announcers were jettisoned from center ice. Now, when COVID ended, or the restrictions ended, we were told, not necessarily by a big announcement or by any major rule, or there's nothing really written down anywhere, but all of us were told by our game presentation directors that we were not going back to center ice. And it's tough to die on that hill or argue about it, because honestly, half the guys in the NHL weren't at center ice to begin with. A lot of them were in the press box. A lot of them were in the stands, if you will, at the top of the lower bowl, kind of where I am. So it's hard to go back to the league and say, I need to be there. Don't you understand? I mean, if you ask my director, he said he prefers me at center ice. I've even talked to Gord Dwyer, one of the on-ice officials, and he said, hey, I noticed you're not down here anymore. We were at media dining. I'm like, yeah, it's a rule now. We're not back there. He goes, oh, man, I loved having you down there because, you could relay information back and forth to the scoreboard people. And it was so I think if we had our way, I'd be back there. But for whatever reason, it's a league rule, and it's not something that any of us in the public address announcer realm in the NHL really feel strongly to push back on, because there's just not a lot of support for it, honestly, as far as the rest of the guys. Like I said, half of them weren't there. I will say this. The Dallas Stars have been very accommodating, as well as the American Airlines Center folks. Chris Iacchione and this other guy, Scott, that works at the American Airlines Center. They did an incredible job of building a PA perch for me that is now set up in section 110 during Stars games, where I have 2 video monitors. I have USB ports. I have AC outlets. I have a nice mat that I can stand on, which kind of eases my back. I had back surgery a couple years. Anyway, my point is I've got so many creature comforts now that I wouldn't have if I went back to center ice. I really love having the monitors, because having the monitors helps me look at replays, helps me identify goal scorers. When we go to a shootout and all the fans stand up, I can look at the monitors to see clearly who's taking the shots and who's scoring. So I'd have to give all those creature comforts up, because there's just not enough space in the penalty box area, should, for whatever reason, they lifted the restrictions and we were to go back there.
So since you are in that part, pull back the curtain. Serious question. Do you use the same restroom as the fans?
I do.
Wow.
I mean, I can, that's
what an opportunity to talk Stars with Jeff K.
That is the closest restroom, but it's usually the most crowded.
Yeah.
So if I do need to go to the restroom, sometimes I will run downstairs real quick to a private restroom. I know where it is, but yeah, I will. I mean, I'm right by section 110. The restroom's right there behind me. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's the thing, Gavin. I always tell people I'm just a fan that got lucky, right? I was a season ticket holder for a decade before I figured out a way for the Stars to pay me to go to games, and they bought it, right? That's the crazy part. Yeah. So when they asked me, they said, well, Jeff, you're never going back to center ice. You've got options. You can either go up in the press box and sit next to Harpo, but that's high up, and that's in the corner. And I feel like, I would be on my phone and so distracted up there, I'd probably miss the 1 minute remaining. And that's like the cardinal rule, the cardinal sin. You don't miss the 1 minute remaining. So I said, can I be in the bowl somewhere? And they said, yeah, we'll look into it. And that's where the American Airlines Center guys, Scott Davidson and Chris Iacchione, jumped into action and created that PA perch for me in 110, and really did a great job of accommodating. And I can also wear my Stars jerseys there. Like if it's a blackout game, I can wear my blackout jersey. It's New Year's Eve. I can wear my crazy Dallas Stars themed sport coat. I can just be with the fans. When we scored in the playoffs, I was high-fiving folks and hugging folks. I mean, that's what I want in the position. I want to be accessible. I want to be around the fans and feel the excitement.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want to be up in the press box.
You are a person of the fans. In fact, at Saturday's game, I was buying Frosties for Spits and Suds listeners. It was cool. after the game, I'm walking and I see you holding court with a bunch of people. I didn't want to be rude and interrupt, but I did want to say hi. But just know I saw Jeff K holding court, and I said, nah, I don't want to be that interrupt guy. I will talk to him next week. And we are. And what a wonderful conversation it has been. The word for thank you in Finnish is kiitos.
Kiitos.
Kiitos. So have a wonderful, well-deserved trip. It's an experience of a lifetime. Do you get to take anyone, or you just fly? Does it work solo?
Well, here's the thing. Some folks are going with their spouses,
right.
but
I'll
spouses
go with you,
are not flying on the charter. I get to fly on the team charter.
Oh my God.
So if my wife were to go with me, she would have to fly commercial, and I'd have to figure that out. And plus, really, there's only a couple of days in Helsinki, and then it's work, air quotes again.
Yeah.
So no, she's not coming with me. It's a business trip.
Yeah.
It is kind of a bummer. I'd like to experience it with her, but we take wonderful trips every year, my wife and I. So she's not too upset about it. Well, but yeah, some folks are taking spouses, but they're not going on the chart.
And I'm sure they might have you involved. I know the league's doing a bunch of like interactivities where they're setting up shop in various cities and interactive displays, like so you can take slap shots and stuff. It's kind of like an all-star festivity around.
Right. I think there is a fan fest.
Yes.
I think, let's see, the games are Friday and Saturday. I think that Thursday there is some sort of fan fest in Tampere, and I don't know if I've got a job to do there, but whatever they need is fine by me. And I will say this, if you'll allow me, Gavin, if you want to follow along with my exploits in Finland,
we do.
Yep. On Twitter, it is JeffK_stars. JeffK_stars for the Twitter stuff. And then Instagram is at JeffKnet, JEFFKNET. And that's kind of a playoff on my website. I have a website, which is jeffk.net. So a lot of my social stuff is Jeff K Net. People think my last name is K-Net. No, it's just Jeff K, short for Kovarsky, big long Russian name that only looks good on the back of a hockey jersey. Yeah. So if you want to follow along, Instagram Jeff K Net, and then on Twitter JeffK_stars.
Have you ever called a goal that Jeff Kovarsky would score?
No, I have not actually.
Okay.
Maybe when I was little, when I was growing up and I was playing floor hockey, I might have done something like that.
I'm just saying, right now there's a forum if you want to.
I don't know. I would say, so Thanksgiving, Jim Nantz threw it to me to announce the national anthem.
Yeah.
Which if you watch Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day, and it seems like it's a battle every year, depending on the broadcast network. Like they don't want DJ names, that's like, I just tell them Jeff K. Well, they don't want like tricked out names. They want your real last name. So we gave them Kovarsky.
Right.
And I even spelled it out phonetically for Jim Nantz. And if you go back and you listen, I want to say it was 2 years ago, because last year was Joe Buck. And we were able to give Fox Jeff K, and they had no problem with it. And I also think at that time I told my boss, if they insist, just tell them K-A-Y. Doesn't matter, whatever. But if you go back 2 years ago when Jim Nantz goes, and now we send it to Cowboys public address announcer Jeff Kovarsky. I kid you not. Like he hadn't even looked at it. Like you could hear the wheels turning in his head as he saw the name with the phonetic spelling in the moment. So that's why I go by Jeff K. I use that as an example. There you go. Now you know why.
And there's some awesome Google searches, by the way. Find out Jeff K All-Star. Because Jeff was featured in the past when the All-Star game was here in Dallas. And one of the things was, he's on the microphone like Janet Jackson, as you are being raised, right? From there's like podium that was electronically being raised. And you were, you were like on national TV for a couple seconds.
Yeah, this was 2007 when the All-Star game was on Versus.
Yes.
Remember that channel?
I sure do.
Versus?
Yeah, hunting and hockey.
Yeah. So Anyway, so no, the opening sequence was approached to me by the league, and it sounded like the dumbest idea ever. And we had some rehearsal problems where it looked like the dumbest idea ever. But when we got to the actual opening sequence for the nationally televised broadcast, there I was being lowered from the rafters of the American Airlines Center, mixing and scratching on 2 turntables with flames on the stage shooting all around me.
That's right.
And I had a Janet Jackson headset microphone on.
So great.
And I was cutting and scratching. And then once the stage kind of got about 5-10 feet over the ice, I stopped and I welcomed everybody to the NHL All-Star Game. And then I threw it to the musical artist Robert Randolph and the Family Band out on the plaza. But yes, if you do a YouTube search for Jeff K, just the letter K, Jeffk All-Star, you will see the beautiful standard definition broadcast footage of what I call my flaming descent.
Wow. Different spelling than Paul Koharski, right?
Koharski has an I.
Yes.
So the Russians end in Y and the Polish end in SK. You know why the Poles end their names in ski?
No.
Because they can't spell toboggan. It's an old dad joke. My dad used to tell that joke to me. So there you go.
Do you know what Paul Koharski's famous for as far as an NHL referee?
Tell me.
All right. Jim Schoenfeld was coaching the Bruins, and I think it was Bruins Devils way back when, and he went after Koharski for Koharski's calls, and one of the famous line, because Koharski might have had a couple extra pounds on him, he just yelled out, which was clearly heard on TV, "Have another donut, Koharski."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just that's that your last name reminded me of that notable moment in hockey.
Yep, it sounds exactly the same, except I have a V as in Victor, and his was an H. It's Kovarski.
Yeah. Absolutely love.
Don't you miss the refs having their names on the back of their jerseys? I think we should go back to that.
Yes, absolutely, because they're personalities in themselves. Yeah. And, you want to say, like, you don't want to notice them, and that means they call a good game. And for the most part, I think NHL referees are amazing, how they see what they see. But, at the same time, absolutely, because I think I want them to have their names because I want to get to know them. So when they're calling a game, I can say, oh, wow, we got a marquee one tonight. Not to boo them, but to honestly give them props as far as I like the way he calls a game.
Yeah, just more personality-driven games. We need more foils. We need more heroes.
Right.
I don't know. Did you watch the NHL Face-Off series on Prime?
Yeah,
Prime?
I've been catching it and catching the highlights, and Sean and I were talking about it, and I told Sean, I have mixed emotions about it. Like, I absolutely love it. I love what it did for Formula One, and I love the potential for hockey. So for those aspects, but what I don't love is the Connor McDavid moment in the locker room. I go back.
But that's what I'm going to bring up to you as the whole reason I loved it.
Yes.
I know that it was a sad moment and it was a frustrating moment, and but that's the kind of thing I think that we need more of. Like, I don't want, if it really jeopardizes somebody's personal space, great, we don't need to hear that. But I felt that's exactly what you wanted to hear from the captain in that moment. And Connor McDavid seems like such a reserved guy. To hear him scream and go off like that gave me a whole new respect for the guy. You know, as an opponent, I hate seeing Connor McDavid. That goal he scored against the Stars in like game 5 or 6 or whatever at home, where that was just I love it, hate it, but I just think we need more personalities in the game, and I
agree.
I think that.
Well, I think also when we talk on this podcast about good room guys, I think there's now people can relate as far as what a room guy does and some of the actions, and I think they see the leadership, because I don't think that you would never know that Connor McDavid's one of the richest people in the NHL by watching that. What you would know, his passion for hockey is so strong. And the kid's had the weight of the world on his shoulders since he was a 12-year-old. You know, and he just was one. They won 3 in a row, and they just couldn't get that 4th. I mean, it was the comeback for the ages, and it just it came up short.
one thing, and we'll wrap this up. The bright side of all this is they had announced the Global Series between the Stars and the Panthers before the Panthers won the final. Now I knew that the Global Series in the past had taken the public address announcer from one of the teams and then the in-game host from the other team. That's kind of been the rule. So if one team sends their PA guy, the other team sends their in-game host. So Andrew Imber is the public address announcer for the Florida Panthers. Great guy. Really came into his own last year, and we got to hear all of his fine work during the Stanley Cup final. But in the middle of the final, I texted him and I said, listen, if you get a freaking ring, I'm going to Finland. If you win the cup, and by the way, I want you to win because I want you to beat Edmonton, who just beat us. I don't want you to give me any competition.
Yeah.
I said, you take your ring and you enjoy your Stanley Cup hangover. Let me go to Finland. And he's such a sweetheart. He said, you know what? It's a long flight. I don't fly well anyway. So yeah, deal. And sure enough, they won the cup. I'm going to Finland. Boom.
Wow. Yeah. And you almost went to China. That would have been an interesting experience.
I don't know. We never got close enough for them to make a decision. But yeah, that would have been crazy.
Well, I got a feeling you'd be going to Mexico. So that might
would be
on
fun.
The horizon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Sir, this has been awesome. And we always run over with you, and that's a good thing.
I know.
Because
I'm a talker. What can I do? You think I'm a radio
stories.
guy?
I You are a radio guy, and you're also a household name in this market. And congratulations, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys and the voice of your Dallas Stars, Jeff Kay. You are the man, and thank you so much, and have a wonderful trip, and we will be following you through social media, and we can't wait to hopefully hear you in the background on TV as well.
All right, Gavin. Go Stars!
Go Stars! The amazing Jeff Kay right here on Spits and Suds. We will talk to you soon with another episode of Spits and Suds. Have a great day, everyone.